Following the 9/11 attacks here in the US, Islam has been facing a lot of challenges. There has been radicalization of Muslims, mostly some saying that they are all could be terrorists. Others have tried to come and analyze the fact and saying, whereas the fact that Islam has been a victim of circumstances, not all Muslims in the country are being targeted. Now, we are on a journey here in the US to find out how Islam is, how are Muslims living in America? Are they being radicalized? Are they being targeted by anyone? Religion in America has less to do with the devotional and ethical practices that limit spiritual life than with the experience of belonging to communities or affiliation within which a religious national identity finds expression. For this case, all American states have different laws governing religions, but Islam appears to have one unified understanding in all 50 states, since it stands alone as an endangered species. Islam is the world's second largest religion after Christianity, and according to a 2011 study by the Pew Research Center, the faith has 1.62 billion adherents world over, making up over 23% of the world population. However, the context in which Muslims in America find their religion under assault is riddled with contradictions. There are people who believe Islam is a victim of circumstances and those who simply don't want to believe anything about Islam at all. This is what is termed as Islamophobia, the dislike, fear and hatred towards Islam, whether with or without a given reason. Data released from the 2010 US religion census shows Islam was the fastest growing religion in America in the last 10 years, with over 3.6 million Muslims living in the US, up from 1 million in 2000. America, however, has the lowest population of Muslims globally, and this trend was worsened after the September 11th attacks on the country. Following the attacks by the Al-Qaeda, Islam as a faith and all its adherents began to be looked at by many as terrorists and not fitting to be Americans.
People who engage in such heinous crimes, they don't see how it's going to negatively affect the Muslims for many, many years, and how difficult it is for us to get out of those situations. So that is one of the challenges that we face.
In fact, even in some schools, strict measures were put against the habit of covering heads by Muslim girls, as they could easily be targeted by fellow students and teachers. This was even worsened when there was a proposal to construct an Islamic center near the Ground Zero in New York. A lot of resistance and protests were met here, as those against the faith questioned why a mosque had to be built near a site allegedly bombed by another Muslim group.
The growth of Muslims and Islam in America has not been stopped by 9/11 or by the negative repercussions of 9/11. Rather, Islam still continues to grow and still continues to flourish, and even people continue to convert to Islam. As Muslims, we know there are some things that are constant in the religion of Islam that cannot be changed. They are the fundamentals, the foundations of Islam, the principles of Islam, the Tawheed, the finality of the Prophet ﷺ.
It is upon the Muslims themselves to see that they exercise their rights in America. And I want to tell the community and the whole world that in America, Muslims do exercise their religions freely as they want.
But perhaps this radicalism and ridicule of the faith better helped Americans to understand and appreciate Islam as a faith, because following the protests, Islam began to gain ground in America. The growth was to an extent that even the number of mosques in the country grew from 1,204 to 1,809, a number which is expected to have tripled by 2030. But this has come with a price. Several Americans in the country have had to change their names following to the protests in order to get employed or admitted to certain institutions, though this has with time changed.
Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this country has freedom of religion and freedom of conscience, freedom of speech. And based upon these principles which are afforded to us by the Constitution, we as Muslims have the freedom of religion to practice.
There are those ones who normally put on hijab, there are those ones who normally put on what they want, they say whatever they want in their Islamic religion.
But things have now moved on in America. Muslims live like any other group of people in the country and also get concerned whenever a terror attack occurs. The biggest challenge now the country has is how to change the mindset of individual Americans who still hold their faith as a terrorist religion. Moses, the Best Television.